Yo, welcome back, guys. It is currently raining. I don't know how this is getting in my house. As you can see, it's completely blocked off, so let's ignore that fact. I mean, it's probably the first shower this guy's taken in weeks, so I'll let him enjoy the moment while he can. Today, I wanted to talk about gaming, and in specific, this current state of newer releases and why I think gaming in general is just completely fallen off. I'm gonna grab a hunter potion. Fun fact, this is really useful for finding the goblin tinker. As you can see, the NPCs will glow. I'm gonna go down into the caves. I recently beat a goblin army, so that is now our agenda. Of course, my whole life I've played video games, right? But as of recently, I've noticed that newer games that are released just aren't as appealing to me as games that were released when I was a kid. I don't know if it's for a lack of effort or just me being older, but either way, I definitely do notice a difference. I mean, I don't think it's a fair comparison because I did grow up with games like Minecraft and Terraria, right? Growing up with these games was truly a blessing in itself, and I don't know how many other kids are going to be able to say that they grew up with a great set of games, even remotely close to these. Alright, we're just going to drop until we hopefully see this dude. Personally, I'm not someone who tries every new game that gets released, but I've definitely tried a bunch of new games, enough to have a legitimate opinion on it. Funny thing, I beat the torch god, so of course I have the biome torches. If anything looks weird to you, it's probably that I have a green torch in the middle of the world. Well, the reason for that is that from this corner of the world all the way to my center spawn is a jungle. This is potentially one of the biggest jungles I've ever seen in my life. I remember when I was a kid, I would wake up, go to school, right? And all I could think about was going home to play games. This was back in the day when I wasn't really allowed to play as much, so anything more than an hour felt like a huge amount of time. At the time, I had an Xbox 360, and I could come home from school, literally load up my Xbox up and just play games and never get bored. I definitely can do similar things now. I mean, of course, I could play games, right? Not that I will have the same endurance that I had as a little kid. The sad truth of the matter is maturing may be the reason that I don't enjoy games as much. Even though in my heart, I really do want to enjoy games. I think my brain knows that it's of course a better idea to be effective with my time that I have instead of just play games all day. I'm assuming a lot of you guys can relate. Everyone had their own childhood games, and if you are still in your childhood era, then I'm assuming some games you're playing at the moment are gonna end up being similar to mine. And it's not that any games I've played recently are bad. I mean, for example, my first ever Souls game was Elden Ring, and I went on to complete all the Dark Souls, including Sekiro. And Sekiro is now most likely my favorite game of all time. Aside from Minecraft, of course, the game is just so good. For this reason, it's not really fair for me to say that games are getting worse. It's just, the feeling, at least, the excited feeling that I got from games as a kid has definitely gone away as I've gotten older, sadly. Of course, nostalgia is like a super powerful feeling that everyone gets. I'm gonna always feel nostalgic for the first time I played Terraria, the first time I played Minecraft, even the first time I played like Indiana Jones Lego, right? These are all games that I got when I was super young. They had a lot of cultural impact on me. And hey, who knows, maybe 30 years down the road, I'll look back and be like, dang, Dark Souls that was the game, man. That was a great game. And of course, I think it's a great game, but the feeling of nostalgia, I'm just not too sure that I'll ever experience that with something else. As I said earlier, this probably just comes with being a child. Children are hardwired to feel different emotions. I mean, I was quite literally developing my brain as I was playing these games, okay? So they were a huge influence on what I thought and what I liked. So it totally makes sense. Since this minecart is in the cavern layer, I'm gonna ride it decently slow and just hope I can see a spawn. I'm also gonna increase this for a little bit until I find him. I mean, I like games, right? I'm gonna always play games regardless of how I feel playing them. I think I'm gonna always find joy from new releases because they're always fun to try, right? The most recent new release I played was Lies of P. It follows down the Dark Souls-esque game style, which is now probably one of my favorite. And it's a great game. I really enjoyed it. I just didn't feel as satisfied as I did from playing games as a kid. Not to hate on any developers, but as of recent, I've noticed a trend where games are becoming less effort for the developers to create and more just a money laundering scheme. They really are just putting out a bunch of different games in hopes of one selling. It's definitely become less about passion and more about the money for a lot of these developers, which is kind of sad to see. I'm gonna go even lower. There's an unexplored rail down here that I could ride along in hopes of finding the goblin. I've noticed this trend with a bunch of games, mostly games that I haven't actually played. I've just seen a bunch of videos either reviewing the game or talking about its flaws in general. And what's funny is, although these never prove to be successful, and you can see that from any statistic about them, games like these usually tend to not really perform well after the initial sellings that they get from just hype. We've seen a bunch of these examples. Alright, I definitely didn't die. Ignore the message in the bottom. I think that's a glitch, actually. But on the note of talking about games, we've seen a bunch of examples of games that have gotten really, really popular, although the budget and team was way smaller than a lot of these other big name companies. For example, Lethal Company. This game blew up overnight seemingly, and it was made, from what I understand, by one developer. All right, we found this guy. We're gonna take the stairwell to heaven to get to him, and then hopefully we'll be able to upgrade some of our gear. But yeah, Lethal Company is a good example of this. Another example was Only Up. That game, although technically being a pretty low effort project, it had such a unique idea, and because of that, it became very, very popular. And I'm gonna always look back and think that was an actually pretty fun game. We're zoomed in again. You could see it probably a little better. I'm finally able to get some good mobility as well as a Tinker's Workshop, which is very, very nice. All right, let's throw the boots on for the Cloud in a Bottle. That'll give me way better mobility. And then we're gonna put this dude in the crafting station, and now we'll be able to craft a lot more equipables. But yeah, I think that's where I'm gonna wrap it up for today. Super simple topic, of course. It's just about games and how they've changed and how my opinions on games have changed. Like I said, simple is usually better than complex. A lot of these game developers really don't know what people want, and it's evident in the fact that the multi-million-dollar projects, AAA games, right, they're just not doing as well as some passion projects are, just because of target audience, and they really don't know what people want in a game nowadays. But hey, I'm glad to always look back at games that I played as a child and have a fond memory of them. I think it's one of the things I'm most grateful for in my life, for sure, is the memories I gained as a child. And you know how a lot of these kids are nowadays. I mean, I'm just grateful that my memories of gaming aren't of Fortnite. All right, I'm glad that I can look back and say I played real games. As well, I'd like to thank everyone for the support recently. I went from around 0 subs to almost 100 overnight. Keep in mind, this all happened for me just talking about what I wanted to, man. And people supporting that, which I think is really cool. I appreciate everyone who liked the videos, subscribed, anything at all. If you even viewed it, man, I appreciate it. As well, if you'd like to see this playthrough live, you can go follow my Twitch. It's in the description. As you can see, I'm completely stuck on the perforators. So if you want to go see me fail at this, then go say what's up, and I'd love to have you. All right, love you guys.